What's up guys, in this video I'm going to be taking you through some handstand progressions, whether you're starting out just building up the strength or you're working towards balancing the handstand. This video will have it all in for you. It's going to be a very condensed video. Do feel free to pick and choose the progressions that are right for you. And with that said and done, let's get into the video. This video will cover a couple main topics, that being your form in the handstand, flexibility, your strength, and also balance in the handstand. To start up, we want to make sure we are warm in the parts that we're going to be using the most. This includes the wrist, so as you can see I'm going round in circles over my wrist, and I'm also going to be changing the direction as well as the position of my wrists just to make sure they're nice and loose. Also our wrist pulses, so pulsing up and down. The whole idea behind warming up our wrists and any joint really is to help synovial fluid travel through the joints, and this acts as a cushion and supports us when we're doing exercises. For these wrist rotations forwards and backwards, you want to be reaching the end of your range of motion with each rotation. Again, with these hands together, you want to be reaching that full range of motion, and you also want to be swapping hands, so right hand on top if you started with your left hand before. This one is going to be kind of like a prayer position. The key with this one is to keep the back of our palms connected, and we're just moving our hand through a range of motion up and down. Then you want to of course warm up your shoulders, going in circular motions forwards and backwards. They are the second most important mover other than the wrist, so taking them across our chest as well. We also want to do our torso twist, making sure not to swing with too much momentum. We want to have this nice and controlled, and then also just opening up the hips so that we're ready to go into our handstands. For each of these exercises, 15 seconds each direction is a very good start, but if you find that a specific area is tight, then you may want to focus on that area a little bit longer. The proper form in the handstand would be in the form of a hollow body hold. This means core tense, glutes thrusted in, and toes pointed. Here you can see I'm trying to just lift my legs to get them off the floor when we're doing the ground variation, but what I need to do is actually do a hip thrust action and also turn my knees out as I was showcasing, tensing the core. And as I take my hands back, it's important that I keep the core braced, otherwise my chest will open up and you'll find you have a gap between your lower back and the floor. Practice this hollow body hold before each session and you will get better and better at it. Now for our strength training sessions, we want to start off with our holds. So as you can see, I'm leaning over and putting weight onto the shoulders. By using the wall, I can increase the weight that I can actually put on my shoulders. You can also use a chair or anything to hold your feet up if you're not quite comfortable using the wall or walking your way up the wall. The idea is that you want to be pushing through your shoulders and resisting against gravity. That's how your shoulders will increase in strength. Holding each progression for about 20 seconds before moving up to the next level will be a good start. This next drill will be our scapular pike push-ups. In this drill, the arms will be straight and it's only the shoulders that dip down and up. And of course, we're moving up in progressions. We want to make sure we have this strength in the full handstand so that we can make it easier for ourselves in the long run. And again, for the full scapular handstand push-up, we're simply lowering ourselves using our shoulders and pushing through our shoulders, lowering ourselves and pushing through our shoulders, trying our hardest not to bend the arms and keeping the form straight. We also want to work on our push-ups. You can see my elbows here are going at a 45-degree angle from my body, and I'm keeping a straight line throughout. Once we get a solid base of, let's say 10, we can move on to our pike push-ups. You can either do these on your tiptoes or on the base of your foot. Again, we want to have our elbows traveling out at a nice 45-degree angle and loading most of the weight onto our shoulders. To make this easier, we can go out a little bit wider. To further progress the pike push-ups, we can elevate our feet, so most of the weight is now on our shoulders as opposed to half and half. and we can simply get higher and higher with our elevation. And again, once we hit 10 or so good reps, we can move on to the next progression. When you are ready, you can walk your way up to the wall however you can, and we are going to go into our full handstand push-ups. We want to be making sure we're not doing any progressions with bad form or skipping any progressions, because we don't want to develop any bad habits. If a progression is too hard, move back to the previous progression. Now we are moving on to the balance portion of this handstand guide. What I'm doing right now is leaning forwards into my toes. What my toes are doing are pressing into the ground and pushing myself back. Now if you find that I do the opposite and go backwards, I have nothing there to stop me. That's why in the handstand and normal standing, we have our weight distributed more towards the front of our foot so that we can actually catch ourselves. For a handstand, it's super important that we have a straight line. If we have our weight going too far forwards or too far backwards, we can see how difficult it is to hold that in a normal standing position. So imagine in a handstand. Our first balance practice is going to be something that requires a lot less balance, but you will understand the fingertip movement, the forwards and back motion through this. So we're going to have our knees on the side of our elbows, leaning forwards and rocking forwards and backwards. You can see me demonstrating here that I'm pressing into the ground and then I'm relaxing my fingers once I've pushed back far enough to recorrect my balance. Once I'm confident enough, I can start to come off the floor slightly, and when I'm super confident, I can go off the floor entirely and just rock forwards and backwards on my fingers, pushing into the ground. Once we've built up enough strength, we can then walk our way up to the full handstand using the wall to assist us. We're going to then take off one leg from the wall and hold it in the straight position, and then we're going to swap legs. We are pushing in with our fingers to recorrect any balance or anything like that, and getting used to the feel of using our fingers in the full position. Next up, we are walking our way back up the wall again, and this time what I want you to do is take one leg off the wall and then slowly take the other leg off the wall. You don't have to necessarily meet it with the other leg. You can keep it close to the wall if you're still building up that confidence and don't want to travel too far from the wall. Once you have this position, you are pretty much holding a full handstand, remembering to keep our body in one line. For this next section, we are looking at our kick-ups and also our bail outs. So starting off with our kick-ups, we want to position our feet underneath us. And as you can see here, as my body isn't strong and connected, my hips are going up and I'm arching my back. What we want to do is avoid this by keeping our core strong and moving as one unit as we go through the handstand. Starting off by just doing a small kick and then pushing up a little bit more each time until you build the confidence to go into the full kick. As you can see, I'm getting closer and closer. Almost there. Reach it this time, and now simply bring the other leg to the wall. It may take you a bit of time to develop the confidence to jump fully into the wall, but just remember that wall isn't moving and it's always going to support you. A safe fall out would be to simply come over to the side. You can see it's like a cartwheel action. There is a different type of fall out where you actually twist over, but for some this is a little bit of a scary option, so I chose to leave it out of this video for now. But as you can see, I'm going to show you again. We're going to simply take the leg that we want to fall out on that side, and we're going to use that, lean over to that side and fall out. And that is it. I'm going to take you through a little stretching routine you can add to the end of your workout, just doing about 30 or 20 seconds holds on each of these. Some exercises we want to include to increase the range of motion of our shoulder is this shoulder dislocate exercise. What we're doing is taking the bar overhead and then back overhead. You can see I've shortened the distance between my hands on the bar. This is to make the exercise more difficult. If you want an easier variation, then just go wider on the grip. We want to make sure we're not arching with our back during this exercise, keeping the core strong, and we're not forcing our way through one arm at a time. Both arms need to move together. Next up, we have what I believe is called the puppy pose. What we're doing is simply holding our body weight with our hands. We're keeping the core strong, so we're not opening up the chest, as we do not want to stretch that part out. This is mainly for the lats and the teres major in the back. So as you can see, I went along the progressions, my hands getting closer and closer. The closer they are, the harder the progression is. If you are finding that too easy, what you can do is use a backhand grip, and you'll find this is a lot harder. You also have to keep the elbows in. That is it for the video. Let me know if you do have any questions, and also let me know if you have any topics you want me to cover within calisthenics.